Hello everyone, it's Nike and it's time for Chronicles and Crohns with Christ. That's the name of my title. If you saw my last video, it was an introduction video about the things that I will be talking about. I've had Crohn's for 23 years. Do I look like what I've gone through? God is good. I got pictures. I got receipts. I got pictures and I have receipts. Thank God I do not look like what I've gone through. The year was 1998, September. I was 15 and a half. Let me put that half on there. And the only reason why I know that because 16 was coming up and I could date. That's how I know. So anyway, and I had a boyfriend at the time, but we weren't really serious because I wasn't 16. So I was counting down the months. You know how that goes. So I had just got off the road with my dad and it was a whole big thing because I didn't want to leave my man at the time. I didn't want to leave him, but I had to leave him. So truck driving family, father was a truck driver at the time. My parents weren't together. So I was on the road with my dad, going back to his house in Florida, and it was a whole thing. But I was grateful to be on the road with my dad. We had a good time, but you know, being on the road, it comes with truck stops. It comes with eating out a lot. Now, we would eat one hot meal. So we would do breakfast, cereal, lunch, you know, cup of noodles, sandwich, and then we would do a hot dinner. So that was pretty much the routine, and we knew that. And then we had snacks in between. My father, like, his truck was hooked up. He had a microwave, he had a refrigerator. Like, we were eating snacks pretty much all day. And how many of you guys know that the truck stops have the best snacks, like, for real, to this day? I get down with the truck stop. So anyway, we are at the end of being with our dad for the summer, me and my brother, and we get back home and I'm just having these stomach issues, right? I'm going to the restroom all the time. I couldn't keep no food down. I was already thin, so I was even losing a whole lot of weight. And, you know, my mother would take me to the doctor when she could. But she was a single parent, so it was hard for her to kind of get off of work, right? So I would go and kind of see the doctors on my own. And then eventually I got sent to a gastro doctor and they ran all these tests on me and they figured that it was something deeper. So they asked my mom to do a colonoscopy, right? And I got a funny story for the colonoscopy because the colonoscopy is when they actually put you to sleep. And I remember like either doing research or I have my notes on here. That's why I'm looking. Either doing research and on anesthesia. Am I saying it right? When you're under anesthesia, correct me if I'm wrong. And it's like being on drugs. So it's like, I think my mom had made a joke, but you know, when you're under anesthesia and you come off, you know, since you're so secretive, I can ask you anything, you pretty much tell me the truth. It's like being drunk or high. So when she said that to me on a car ride and it was so random, maybe in the back of her head, she figured I was messing around, but I was really good at it. And at the time I wasn't, but I was a teenager. I was doing stuff like ditching school and, you know, party line and all of that back in 1998 when my mother was going to work. Yeah, a whole thing. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna find out all the stuff that I've been doing. Cause back in the day I was just, you know, doing me, being a teenager. And so I got really panicked, right? And I was just like praying, like, Lord, please don't let her forget not to ask me all these questions on our way to get the colonoscopy, because now I had to get the colonoscopy so they could take a deeper look into me and see what was going on, right? I was already scared about not waking up. I was already scared about what a colonoscopy was. Like, you're literally putting me to sleep and then you're putting cameras up my backside. You understand what I'm saying? So it was like, how am I going to feel when I wake up? Yes, I'm being all the way real. And what is my mama going to say to me when I'm on these drugs? Like, Lord, please, no, I'm going to get in trouble. You know, so I pleaded with the Lord. And I think she was just so worried when we got to the procedure doctor that I think she kind of sort of forgot what she was going to do. So it worked out in my favor. So I want to say a couple weeks down the road after I got the colonoscopy, I was still sick. They gave me some temporary medicines to kind of hold me through. And then we got the call for the appointment and went to the appointment and found out we had Crohn's disease. I had Crohn's disease, and I say we had Crohn's disease because it ended up being a household thing. Like I remember to this day, my mom dropping me off at home after we had went to the pharmacy, and I'm sitting in my daybed on Park Street in Bellflower. I'm sitting on my daybed, crying my eyes out alone. And that's another episode, right? Because I come from a single parent background. My mother still had to work. She couldn't be there for me because she was already taken off of work, right? And I'm sitting on my bed alone with all of these pills. Like, yes, the doctor explained all the pills to my mom. I was in a room. But all these pills, I must have been on 30 pills that I had to start soon, but I started the next day. 30 pills. I was on all kind of steroids, pain meds, some other stuff that made me really, really sick. And on top of that, I still was a teenager. And on top of that, I still had to go to school. And on top of that, I still had to function in all the different compartments of my life. No one understood. Where did this disease come from? That's another story. Where did this disease come from? Because as far as I'm concerned, at that time, no one in my family had any disease like this. No Crohn's, colitis, none of that. And so where did it come from? My dog is barking, so I'm listening because I'm supposed to be having some stuff delivered. Sorry. But where did this come from? Where did this come from? It was an interesting time. Thank God my mother had me in church. Thank God that I had another higher source bigger than me. At the time, I didn't understand. At the time, you couldn't tell me anything. All I knew is I was sick and I didn't want to be sick. All I knew is I was a teenager and it wasn't fair. All I knew is that my boyfriend was going to leave me. That's how young-minded you are, right? Who wants to be with someone who's sick? Who wants to be with someone who's not only sick, but has a medical condition that keeps them on the toilet? Who wants to be with someone that's not only sick and has a medical condition that keeps them going to the bathroom, but you have gas and you're bloated and you're in constant pain. You don't have any energy. You're all of a sudden, you're tired. All the symptoms are coming on. And it's one thing after another. And all this time I'm thinking about my friends, not being able to hang out with them, not simply going to the movies, can't go to the mall, can't eat certain, teenager foods, greasy foods, hot foods, because now if you eat those things, you might have to go to the restroom because now you are on all these medicines and their side effects. So everywhere you go as a teenager, you got to look for a bathroom. And then let's talk about not being able to afford the things that I can afford now. And I'll show you in my next video. I carry my yellow bag and it has everything that I could possibly need to go to the restroom. And I take it with me every time I go to the bathroom because you just never know. But just a simple spray, right? Like going to someone's house after you're eating their food or just eating because you're a teenager and having to use the restroom and at your friend's house. Normally you do number one, but you got to do number two all the time. So not having the spray. Being in situations where the toilet don't flush. Being in situations where they can hear your gas when you're in the bathroom. All these things, 1998, that I had to experience by myself. And on top of that, I go to a doctor who does not look like me. On top of that, I go to a doctor who does not have posters that look like anybody of color. These are all the things that I had to battle by myself. And we'll talk about this in the next episode of Crohn's disease and loneliness. It was a lonely time for me. No one understood. I put on a face. I held my pain well. I didn't want to be a burden on my mom because she was already working hard. We were already barely making it. So I had to put a front on my face and take care of my little brother. because I didn't have a choice. My mother went to work. I had to get on the bus, and that's another episode. I had to take 2 buses to school because I lived about 30 minutes from my school, but on a bus it was about 2 hours. I'll tell you about that. That's the next 2 episodes. But yeah, that's my beginnings. That is Crohn's as a teenager in 1998, 23 years. God is good. He is good. And I thank you for listening to this story. There are many more stories to come, and as you can tell, I am not sugarcoating. So if you have any questions about Crohn's, this episode's Crohn's and being a teenager, let me know. If there's anything else you want me to talk about, I'm probably sure I went through it because I'm 23 years in the game. Let me know. Thank you for your time. Praying for you. Pray for me. And I'll talk to you guys later.